Hello, hello. So it is Sunday, July 30th, 2023, and that means it is time for a weekly wrap-up. And I read 14 books this past week. Granted, let's be real here, 4 of them are manga. One, there's a graphic novel, there's a couple of children, like it's very much not like all like giant novels, but it's still 14 books. It's still 14 off of that book wall, which is great. Let's get going. So first up, the first book that I read. So these first 4 books I read all on the same day. I read them all last Sunday because last Sunday was my last day playing D&D with my former party because I moved an hour away. And when I moved half an hour away, I still played because it was just half an hour, and also then COVID hit. And so we were doing it online anyway for most of the time. I lived half an hour away and then moved back to that town, and it was great for 2 years, but now I moved an hour away and I can't, I just can't anymore. They did make, hold on, watch him. And his wife made this, and on the back there's a bunch of notes from all of the people, like all the people that were in the party. But this was my first character. He was a barbarian. This is the first set. This is my second character. He was a cleric. The second set, and I just like, it's so nice. It's so nice. But anyway, so D&D was always at 6. I am a preternaturally early person, but also I had some moving to get done in that apartment in that old town still. Yeah, we're all done by now, thank God. But I still had some stuff to get done. I had some packing to do. I want to load up my car, and then I was like, if I'm a little bit early, I can just read for a couple hours. And I was so early. So I ended up reading not only the book that I had brought, I went to a coffee shop, but I also read 3 other books that I was moving from one place to another. So the book that I brought with me to read, I did finish up reading The Monk of Mokha by Dave Eggers, which is, I believe, nonfiction about this guy who was this young Yemeni American man who decides that he wants to bring to light the delights of Yemeni coffee. And it was very good. It was interesting. It was very readable. I'd say it really taught me a lot. I don't really think that much. There are a lot of countries that you don't think about being American, and Yemen is one of them. Just because there's so many countries, and as an American, you're really busy being an American. But no, it was definitely very well written. This is my first book by David Eggers, but I know he's written quite a bit, and he's very, very well lauded in literary circles. So yeah, I'm glad I read it. This is a gorgeous book. It is signed by the author. I don't remember where I got it. I'm pretty sure it was for free though. But yeah, no, it was really interesting about this because he ends up going to Yemen and stuff like that. And there's wars happening. There's civil war happening, and it was just insane how much this guy got away with. Like, just how much he was able to just kind of power his way through things. But yeah, no, it was a good time. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely, I'd say if you're looking for an interesting true story, it's a good one. Then I read a graphic novel that is Username Evie by Sugg. I believe that when I finish this, I think even in my TikTok wrap up of it, I think I said this I think should not have just been a one book thing, but it's not. I believe it has a sequel. Anyway, it's still super underdeveloped. But this is a graphic novel about this young woman, Evie, who her mother is dead and her dad is dying, and she goes to the school and she's doesn't really have any friends. She hangs out with this other nerdy guy, but her cousin is like head bitch of the place. And it's just, it was really underdeveloped. It was, the characters were so underdeveloped. Anyway, then the whole plot of this happens when her dad does die and she gets sent to live with her cousin, and then her dad did create her like this virtual world to live in, and it's just, it was, despite the fact that there was so much setup, it was just so underdeveloped. The characters really didn't make much sense. Obviously this was ghostwritten. This is a YouTuber from like Danville era. Yeah, I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It wasn't good. Then, oh man, this next book is a book that I believe took from the book sale room in the library that I worked at, because I was writing one more sad song, and I figured I should learn about it, and then I published One More Sad Song 3 years ago. So, but that is Blades, Boards, and Scooters by Kelsie Thomas, which is a nonfiction book about rollerblades, skateboards, and snowboards, and scooters. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I don't really know what else to say about that. And then I've got this book that was given to my younger brother when he was like a child. And my mom found it and gave it to me, so I put it in the book wall and then I read it. And that is Dirt on My Shirt by Jeff Foxworthy, illustrated by Steve Bjorkman. This is just a bunch of poems. That's what this is. I think I gave it, again, 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about it. Then we're getting to the real fun stuff here. Next, I read I believe this is a paperback from hell. I don't have the paperback from hell version. I have the original version. That is The Kill Riff by David J. Shou. This one, places I was not expecting it to go. It was, oh man. Okay, so this was fun. So this follows the father of this girl who was killed at this heavy metal concert. When the fans just kind of charged the stage, she was trampled and she died. She was killed. Which just happened. This happens quite a bit. Maybe quite a bit is overstating it. I do think that in general, at least nowadays, heavy metal, like actual heavy metal, I'm not talking Pierce the Veil, I know they have issues, but like if you, like Slayer's done it, if you would go to a Slayer show, you would be fine, because heavy metal concerts, especially the people who go there, are very aware of how hurt people can get because of issues like the Guns N' Roses concert where people were trampled and killed. Like when I went to Slayer in 2019, it was awesome. I feel like I nearly died 70 times, but you know what happened once every song? Somebody tapped on the back of my head and asked me if I was okay. Because they were very aware of people getting crushed, especially if you were smaller, and in a crowd full of large, heavy men, 5'8". I was 130 pounds at the time. Like, I was smaller than most of the people there, especially since I was so close to the barricade. Anyway, because of the past, heavy metal concerts and actual heavy metal concerts, not TikTok. Like, I love Pierce the Veil, I love their music, but it's not heavy metal. It's TikTok heavy metal, basically. So the people who are going there don't really understand concert etiquette. That's the thing. I went to Yellow Card and Mayday Parade and Story of Year, and that was great. That was fantastic crowd. I'm also wondering how much of this is people just not understanding that you're going to get touched at a concert. Not like grope, but like at Yellow Card, there was a guy standing in front of me who was just, I called him Mr. Motion City Soundtracks. That's the t-shirt he had on. And he just kept he was dancing a lot, and he just kept leaning back, and I didn't like, he kind of dancing back into me, stuff like that. I wasn't like mad at him. I didn't like yell at him. I just kept my hand out. And so I just held on to I had my hand on his back for 3 solid songs before he found the mosh pit and ran off to do that. Anyway, this is about that. But then the father decides that he is going to go and kill all the members of this band because it is their fault. And it went places I was not expecting it to go. Like, there were so many twists. It was so much fun. Like, there's a lot going on. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was super fun. There was also a lot of like heavy metal talk, a lot of 80s heavy metal talk. For those of you who are on the other channel or have been around for a while, you know I was a big 80s metalhead for a while, like when I went to Slayer. And it was so fun to understand all the references. That was a good time. I gave it 4.25 stars. I liked it. It was a good time. Then I read 11 by Patricia Reilly Giff, which is a book about this kid who he can't read, but he can't read very well. He's turning 11. He's got some sort of learning disability, so he can't read, and he finds this box in the attic, and he's pretty sure that one of them says missing and it has his name on it. And so he's like wondering what the hell's going on. Like, is he a missing kid? What's going on? He meets a friend, and it was perfectly serviceable. It was okay. This is an arc from like 2008. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I don't really have it. It just wasn't very interesting or well written. So there's that. And now, in terms of interesting, I did read, this is called Horrors, A History of Horror Movies by Tom Hutchinson and Roy Pickard, which is like, it goes through a bunch of, like, vampires and like, what else? What do we got? Dracula or Secret of Blood, mad doctors and scientists, The Dead Will Not Lie Down, so zombies, The Devil Rides In, gothic melodramas, monsters and more monsters, nature strikes, Keep Watching the Skies, Future Shock. And so it just talks about pretty much the history of horror movies. This was published in the early 80s, so we've got lots of the older stuff, but we've also got stuff like there's Alien. And where's my boy? They had one thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre in here. I want to find him. Oh, because I love the Texas Chainsaw is my favorite horror movie franchise. I think it's so fun. Oh, there's Jaws. The Horrors Within, that's where it should be. Psycho. Carrie. Here he is. But yeah, no, it was a fun time. As somebody who really does enjoy horror movies, if you see any of my movie wrap-ups, it's normally mostly horror, and the ones that I like the most are always horror movies. It's my favorite genre, both of book and film. This was a fun time. It was a fun, there were lots of movies in here that I haven't seen, that I haven't heard of, that I am excited to see now. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Very much a coffee table book, but it's a fun time. Then I read this nonfiction book. It is called Familiar Strangers by Marlene. It is about Romani people in America. That's not what it says on the cover because it was published in 1983 or something like that. Let me see. 1988. It was interesting. The author did apparently grow up with her father owned a store that they had a lot of Romani customers and stuff like that. And she went and talked to a lot of Romani people. I thought it was really interesting. I think obviously there's some stuff in here that doesn't age quite well, like the cover. But I think that I learned something. I think it was interesting. It talked about lots of stuff in there. Let's see. So migration, religion, family, legal stuff. The most interesting thing I thought was about it was the chapter called Economic Adaptability, where it's talking about how Romani people, they're so very pragmatic. like in terms of getting money, stuff like that. They would send people to collect clothes that they would then either resell if they were nice or turn into rags and stuff like that. And they didn't see that as either man's or woman's work, but they knew that a woman would get more clothes because of other people's prejudices. So they're going to send the woman to do that because the man's just going to look creepy on your front doorstep saying, hey, do you have any clothes? I thought it was interesting. I thought that was kind of cool. I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. Did I? Yeah, it was it was interesting. It was really interesting. Then I read 4 manga. I got 3 BL and 1 sports, which really just kind of sums up my taste, doesn't it? I have the 2nd volume of Sasaki and Miyano. Sasaki and Miyano is the cutest thing ever. I watched the anime a couple months ago, and it was so cute. Basically, this is about Sasaki and Miyano. Miyano is this little, he's like a first-year high school student, and he's not gay, but he really enjoys reading BL manga, stuff like that. And one day he sees this kid getting beat up, and he is like, should I go get help? Should I try and help? He's not very big. He's this little guy right here. And this guy comes in and kind of saves the day. He mostly gets hurt, but he does kind of chase him away. And then they form this friendship. And my favorite thing that was present in the anime too is that this guy is so in love. And it's and he doesn't ever let Miyano see that, really. He just goes and Miyano will do something and he'll be like, okay, gotta go. And then let me see if I can find one, because oh yeah. And then he'll run away and where is it? Just collapse. I know there was one in this one. Yeah, he just scream, no. It's so cute. It's really good. It's adorable art style. It's a great series. I gave it, I want to say, what did I give this? 4.5? 4.75 out of 5. This next one is technically a reread. That is the 1st volume of My Love Mix-Up by Aruko and Wataru Hinekure. This one is also hilarious. So you've got this guy right here, and he's got a crush on this girl right here. One day he leaves his eraser at home, and she lends him hers, but he sees on her eraser is this guy's name, and he's just absolutely crushed because he had a crush on this girl, and now he knows for a fact that she likes somebody else. Then he drops the eraser. This guy picks it up, and he sees that this other boy has his name on an eraser with a heart after it, and he's like, here's your eraser back. And then it's just misunderstandings in the funniest way. I think it's adorable. It's so cute. I've read this 1st volume before. I'm very excited to continue on with it. The art style is perfectly serviceable. It's a good time. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Cat Proposed by Dento Hayane, which is cat boys. So we've got this guy right here, and I've seen a lot of this lately in a lot of the Japanese media I've been consuming, where our main character is this young man who is very, very much just like in the overworked and wants to die stage in life. I started watching, it was like Zom 100 something. I'll put up a picture. It's kind of the exact same way where like the zombie apocalypse starts and this guy's like, I'm finally free, this is the best day of my life. But this guy, he ends up stopping into this this like play, and this guy is like the lead actor, and this guy for a second sees him as like this cat. He's like, I must be exhausted, because that's weird. It turns out he is a cat, and because that he saw him as a cat, they have to get married now. It was cute. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. Even the cat thing didn't bother me too much. I tried to read Yagi the Bookshop Goat, and it was just weird. I did read Yagi the Bookshop Goat, and it was just weird. But this one, the cat thing didn't really bother me. I thought it was fun. I gave it, I want to say 4 out of 5 stars. It was a good time. Good art style. I like this guy. I liked him a lot. Then I started Blue Lock by Mineyuki, Kaneshiro, and Yusuke Nomura. I am done reading Haikyuu. I didn't finish it. I'm just kind of done with it. I think I'm done with Haikyuu. I kind of like, I'm still gonna try and finish the anime, but I'm just kind of done with it. So I started Blue Lock. One of last year's seniors that I had, really, he read all of them and he said that they were really good, and I gotta agree, honestly. So this is about soccer, and it is about this. So talking about Japan and how their World Cup, like, it just keeps being awful, and it just keeps sucking hardcore. And so what they decided is that we need just to get the perfect striker and build a team around them and make sure that they are the most important part of the team. And so what they do is they gather up, was it 300? Yeah, 300 of the best strikers, like high school strikers in Japan, and they lock them in this compound. It's like a battle royale situation. They don't kill each other, but like they eliminate and stuff like that. And when it first started, I was pretty meh on it. I honestly think, like, I love sports anime. I honestly think it's better suited to anime than manga, just because with sports you have to have so much movement. And so this first part, which is like a soccer game, I'm just like, I got nothing. Like, you know, but then as I started getting into the actual plot more, I really started to enjoy it. I'm really starting to enjoy the characters. I'm sure that guy's gonna come back, that blonde guy. I like the main character. I like that creepy little effeminate kid. It's a good time. I'm looking forward to continuing on with this series. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Art style is pretty typical of modern manga. Then I read a true crime book. I read me some Anne Rule. I read If You Really Loved Me by Anne Rule, which is, this is a ride, let me tell you. So this is about the murder of this young woman, Linda Brown, who was 23. She had this young daughter, and she was married to this older gentleman. I don't want to say gentleman, this older motherfucker, David Brown, who was like 33, and he started dating her when she was like 15. So already gross. But she's murdered, and they all think that Cinnamon Brown, if you needed any more proof that David was a bad person, he named his daughter Cinnamon, who was 14, had killed her. And it's just this whole rabbit hole, because they were also living with Linda's younger sister Patty, who was 17, and there was just a whole situation there, and there was a lot going on. It was talking about all of that, talking about how to, like, because did Cinnamon actually kill Linda? Like, is this something that this 14-year-old actually did, or is there something more sinister going on? There was a lot going on, and Anne Rule, I think, is very, very talented. Obviously, like, I've read The Stranger Beside Me, and I was super impressed, but I didn't know if it was like a fluke, because she did, like, know Ted Bundy, so like she obviously had more of an emotional involvement than most people in that case. And that, because then later I read a different, like, collection. It was, I think she calls them like the case files, where it's not a full length thing, but there's a bunch of little ones. And I wasn't as impressed, but this woman is a phenomenal true crime writer. It was so good. It was so, like, this is a big book. It took me like 2.5 days. Normally big books like this that are nonfiction are going to take me a little bit longer, because what makes you pick up a book again and again and again is like the plot. Like if you gotta see what happens next, you're gonna keep picking it up even outside of your general, this is when I read time. And this had that, even though it was nonfiction. It was a good time to get 4 out of 5 stars. And then, speaking of surprising, the next book I read, I also was really surprised, but I really enjoyed. It's called Blossom by Andrew Vachss. This is a crime novel. This is technically the 5th in a series, but I figured I don't really need to read the whole series in order because it's crime novels. Looking back, I maybe should have. But it was a good time. I had a good time with it regardless. So this is about this man, Burke, who is a... he used to be a criminal. He was in prison, but now he hunts down people who commit sex crimes, essentially. And the author used to be an attorney who was specialized in juvenile justice and child abuse. And you can really tell in here. You can really tell that that's what the author specialized in. It was very much written. So the reason I picked this up in the first place is because it was free. It was on a free book when I was in college. I've had this for a while. And I saw the man's author photo on the back. And I had to read. I was like, okay, so we're gonna read this. And honestly, the writing in here is written like it is written from a person who looks like this, like that, like this checks out. Yes, that's entirely how the person who wrote this should look. It was really, really colorful language. Really colorful language. There were a lot of turns of phrases that I really, really liked. There was a lot of it that was very like cliche detective, hard-boiled situation, but it was really interesting, and some of the ways that he used these phrases were really, really good. It came out in 1990, so there is some language in here that I think people aren't really used to hearing nowadays, but the way that this author did treat like gay people, there's even a transgender woman in here, was entirely respectful. Even if he used language that we don't use nowadays because it was the 1990s. And there was a very big distinction between people who hurt people and people who are gay. Like, it was a big thing that he emphasized more than once. So yeah, I'd say it was good. It was interesting. I wasn't really in it for the plot, which is weird. Like, the character work in this was so interesting. Like, both the main character, not quite so much, but Blossom, the titular character, and Lloyd had, like, it was, honestly, I'm not probably going to go out and search out Vachss's other books, but I am probably going to, if I ever see them at a thrift store when I'm not on a book buying ban, I'll buy them and read them. It was a good time. I get 4.5 out of 5 stars. Also, that's that. Currently, I am reading No More Saturday Nights by Norma Klein, which is a young adult book from the 80s about this boy who gets a girl pregnant and then decides that he's going to raise the baby by himself. This is a conscious decision that he makes. Like, if she doesn't dump it on him, it's not like there's no other option. He goes to court so he can raise this baby by himself. I'm like, what, like 80 pages in? Something like that. So, this right here, this horrifying stack is what I read this past week. That is all every day. I will talk to you later, and goodbye.